What's up guys, this is Alan. In today's episode, I'm going to be explaining to you everything you need to know about plant containers. There are going to be small ones, there are going to be big ones, and everything in between. If you're wondering which one is going to be the best one for your plants, and also where to source the cheapest containers on the internet and locally, well, make sure you keep on watching. Plant containers come in different shapes, different sizes, and it can get confusing for somebody just starting growing plants. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna start with the smallest containers that I use here at the nursery, and we're gonna go all the way to the biggest ones. So let's get started. Some of the smaller containers that I have here at the nursery are gonna be these cylinder ones right here. These are called tree pots. Now, these guys right here are, I forget the size, I think it's either 1 inch by 9 inches long or 10 inches long. And if you're wondering where to source the cheapest containers or all the containers that I'm showing in this video, link in the description. But anyway, so these containers right here, as you can see, they are narrow and they're long. So what do I use them for? This right here are jamun or java plums. These guys right here, they have a taproot system. When they grow from seed, the taproot will go straight down. So especially for plants that have taproots and long roots, I like to use containers like this because not only do they allow the taproot to actually grow naturally straight down, they also save space. As you can see, I have a tray right here. I believe this tray right here holds, I forget, 72 to 100. And this is a very small space. So when starting seeds, 50, 100, especially if you have a nursery or if you're gonna be selling trees, it may sound like a lot, but it's not a lot. But I can tell you, if you wanna save space, this is gonna be the best bet, especially when starting plants that have taproots. The next small container that we have here at the nursery is going to be this 4-inch containers. This guys right here. You see, these are 4 inchers. Sometimes we have 2.5 inchers. Sometimes we have 4-inch containers that are long and narrow, but in general, they're about this size. What are these good for? These are gonna be good for plants, for starting plants, either from seed or if you're doing cuttings or anything like that. These are very small containers, and as you can see, this is an olive tree right here, and they do just fine. Now, these containers are meant to start plants or to keep them temporarily in a small size container because, as you can see, they don't take up much space. I have 30, 60, 90, 120. I have about 120 to 150 plants in here, and as you can see, they don't take up much space. The reason why is because these containers right here are small and they are ideal, especially if you are propagating plants, or especially if you like to grow plants to ship online. So whenever you buy plants from the website, this is going to be a 4-inch container. This is going to be another tree pot. This is completely different than the previous one that I showed you. So this one over here is the little ones that we use to start the plants, and they stay there for a few months. But once they actually get bigger, you want to put them in something like this. Now this container right here, this is 4 inches on the top, and this one is 12 inches long. These are citrus right here. This is a pomelo right here, and once you put them in this container, they do well here for about a year to 2 years easily, because as you can see, this is a lot bigger than that one over there. So why do I use this container instead of a small one like that, or even a variation like this one right here? This is another tree pot right here, and as you can see, this one is a cylinder, and this one went dry on me because that one is wilted. But yeah, so this is another cylinder. They come in different shapes, different sizes. It's really irrelevant. Just buy whatever is cheapest in your area. They all do about the same. This one's a little bigger than the yellow one over there. I believe I recycled this ones. I bought used from somebody else, and that's the reason why I have them. These are wax jambu right here, or rose apple, and I have a lot of them, and as you can see, they have a taproot system. It grows straight down in the ground, so growing them in cylinders is the best way for this plant compared to this one right here. So if I was to grow this plant right here in this container, will it grow? Yes, it will, but the problem is it will get root bound very quickly, and I'm gonna need to up pot it a lot sooner than if I just put it straight in a cylinder like this one. So the next size is gonna be 1 gallon containers. So I have some dragon fruit right here. I have some purple ones, white ones, and yellow ones. But 1 gallons, I would say, are going to be the most popular size here at the nursery because they are cheap and they can hold a lot of plants. The citrus, the java plums, and all the plants that I showed you earlier, they will grow just fine in this 1 gallon containers. This is what they look like right here. And let me show you a size comparison. So this is a 1 gallon. That's a cylinder right there. And this is a 3-pot right here. So why do we use 1 gallons? Well, like I said, 1 gallons are cheap. 1 gallons usually are cheaper than this ones right here, especially when you buy it in use. And we're gonna be talking about where to source these containers the cheapest if you stay all the way to the end. But yeah, 1 gallon we use for, I would say, 80% of the plants here at the nursery. So we have some dragon fruit in there. I have some more 1 gallons right here. These are chirimoya. This guy's just got potted today from those cylinder containers that I showed you earlier. I put them straight in the 1 gallon simply because I don't have the space to put them in bigger containers, but they needed to be potted. The problem with the yellow cylinders that I showed you is plants will root out those containers very quickly, and unless you have them automatic watering or you're diligent about watering every single day and never let your plants dry, as soon as they go dry, they will take damage immediately, especially here in my area. So I put them in a little bigger containers, the 1 gallons right here, so I don't have to worry about them going dry. Here I have some loquats right here. I have some more loquats right here. This is another size. This is some fire sticks right here. I don't really use this very often because whatever plants, these are 2.5-inch containers, a little smaller than the 4-inch containers, because this, they won't hold plants for too long. They will root this container very quickly and then I have to pot them. So this container right here, I usually use them for when I grow Roselle hibiscus or any other herbs and stuff like that, because they will root out this container very quickly. They're gonna grow and they are ready for sale fast. So I don't hold on to those plants. I gotta find something to do with them because as you can see, they're fully rooted in these containers. And thankfully they are a cactus, and otherwise they would have been dead by now. But if you look over here, I have some more 4-inch containers right here. Some more 1 gallon containers right here. I got a loquat right here. I got some more over there. Mango seedlings right there. I do a lot of avocado seedlings in the 1 gallons directly because, as you can see, they fit just right in the 1 gallons, and usually I can keep them in the 1 gallons for about 1 to 2 years after they rooted themselves in the containers. This is the other 4-inch container that I was talking about. These are 4-inch long containers. They're longer than the ones that I showed you earlier. And they just hold more dirt. So once your plant's rooted in these containers, they can stay here longer. And the only reason I have them is because they were cheap at the time I bought them. And right here, I have some loquat seedlings since my loquats are fruiting right now. I got 2 trays of loquats and I gotta clean those out, and then I'm gonna do more loquats over there. All right, and that brings us to the next size, and that's going to be 3 gallons. So 3 gallons, I would say 3 and 5 gallons are gonna be the next most popular sizes that we have here at the nursery. We just potted some strawberry tree or Jamaican cherry right here from 4-inch containers because they were just drying out too quickly. This is a 3 gallon right here. Technically it's a 10-inch wide container by, I don't know how deep that is. They come in different shapes, but usually these are gonna be the 3 gallons. I got some passion fruit right there. and the 5 gallons are gonna be right here. The 3 gallon and the 5 gallons, they hold the same amount of dirt. The 5 gallons are gonna be narrower on the top, but longer. The 3 gallons are gonna be wider on the top, but shorter pots. Does it make a difference? To be honest, it does not make a difference. The reason I have one or the other is because at the time it was the cheapest and that's what I bought. It doesn't really matter if I have 3s or 5s. I have not noticed a difference growing plants in either one. Obviously the 5 gallons are gonna accommodate a deep root system or a tap root system better than a 3 gallon, but regardless, it's not really a big of a difference, so it doesn't matter. So whatever you can find the cheapest, go for either or. So when do we use the 3 or the 5 gallons? Well, once plants are big enough, fully rooted in the 1 gallon containers, or in the 4-inch containers like the Jamaican cherries I showed you, then they go directly into a 3 or a 5 gallon container. And then we'll let them grow all the way until they're fully rooted in the containers. As you can see, these are southern magnolias right here. These guys are root bound. I mean, once you start seeing the root ball coming out of the container because it's so root bound, well, it's time to pot your plants. So this is how you know when you need to pot your plants. So once your plants are rooted in a 3 or a 5 gallon container, where do you go? Normally, if I have 7 gallons and the plants were in 3 gallons, they will go from a 3 gallon into a 7 gallon. And this is a good comparison right here. So that's a 3 gallon right there. That's a banana that's growing, and that's a 7 gallon container. As you can see, the 7 gallon container, it's a little taller and a lot wider than the 3 gallon. So these types of containers right here that are wider and shorter usually work best for plants that have shallow roots, fibrous roots. They do not do well for plants that have tap roots or deep roots. Are they still gonna grow in those containers? Yeah, they will. But these containers right here, like I said, they will do best for plants that have shallow fibrous roots, like the guava plants in the back. You can see right here, this is a guava plant right here, and this is fully rooted in this 1 gallon container. This is a 1 gallon right here, fully rooted in this container. So from this size, to be honest, I can either go into a 3 gallon over there, I can go into a 5 gallon right here, or I can go into a 7 gallon right here. So it doesn't really matter which one I put it in, but the main difference is space. If I put them directly into a 7 gallon, it's gonna take a little longer for that 1 gallon guava to root out this 7 gallon container, so they have to sit on my property a lot longer, probably close to a year. Where if I put them in a 3 gallon or a 5 gallon, they will root out those containers a lot sooner, and I can actually sell them like 3-4 months from now, because guava plants grow very quickly and it is prime growing season right now. Now, if I have a 5 gallon container plant that is fully rooted like this, where does it go? Can I put a 5 gallon plant like this bayrum right here that is fully rooted in this 5 gallon container into the next size up, which is a 7 gallon? And the answer is yes, you can, but it's not ideal, because remember, 7 gallons are mainly the step up from a 3 gallon, and usually they're gonna be the same height as a 5 gallon container. But remember, the 5 gallon container is narrower on the top, but longer than a 3 gallon, which you can see back there, which is the same height as the 7 gallon. The 7 gallon is just wider. This bayrum right here is fully rooted all the way down. So if I put it on the 7 gallon container, the only thing I'm going to gain is space around the root ball, not on the bottom. If your plant has a fibrous shallow root system, then you can go ahead and do the transition from a 5 to 7. But to be honest, it's not worth the time that it's going to take you to pot it, because you're not gonna gain much. So ideally here at the nursery, what I do is I go from a 5 gallon like this into a 15 gallon. Tall 15 gallon like this one. As you can see, that's a 5 over there, this is a 15. So it gives the root ball a lot more space to grow, going down and sideways. For the 15 gallons, this is a tall one. There are also 15 gallons that are short. The same principle when I talk to you about a 5 gallon and a 3 gallon. The 15-gallon short is going to be wider on the top, but it's going to be shorter to the ground. The 15-gallon tall is going to be narrower on the top, but it's going to be taller, like this one right here. And these ones are going to be the ones that I use here at the nursery simply because I can source them locally, cheaper than buying them online. And that's the only reason why I go from 5-gallon to 15-gallon, only when my plant needs to be potted. You can also go from a 5 to a 10-gallon. A 10-gallon looks just like this one right here, but it's a little shorter. I do not have that many 10-gallon plants because it's not a popular size that is sold at nurseries in my area, and that's why I do not use those. So once the plants are fully rooted in a 15-gallon container, what's the next size up? Well, for me at the nursery, it's going to be a 25-gallon container, like this variegated bay rum plants over here. As you can see, these are a lot wider than a 15-gallon container. You can see the size difference. It's hard to see on video, but the main difference between the 25-gallon and the 15-gallon tall is going to be how wide it is. The 15-gallon is tall is going to be the same height as a 25-gallon, but the 25-gallon is going to be a lot wider. Now, technically, the 25-gallon, it's meant for 15-gallon short. This one right here is going to be the 15-gallon short, which is the same. It holds about the same volume of dirt as the 15-gallon tall. But remember, this one's taller than this one, but this one right here is wider than that one. So technically, you go from the short 15-gallon into the 25-gallon. But normally here at the nursery, we just go from this one right here into the 25-gallon, and that's it. We don't go any bigger than that, because anything bigger than that, it just gets too heavy, it gets too expensive, it gets too complicated. People are broke right now, and most people are not buying bigger trees than 25 gallons here at the nursery. But technically, what comes after 25 gallon, and I used to sell them back in the day, it's going to be for us 45 gallons. And I got some containers right here, just to show you size difference. That's a 45 right there, this is 25. And you can see the 45 is a lot wider, a little taller than 25 gallon. But I can tell you, once you fill them up with dirt, they take a lot of dirt, they're very heavy, and the plants are simply way too big. I have a few 45-gallon containers left here at the nursery, and it's gonna be like this tree right here. This is a bay rum in a 45-gallon container, and this tree is huge. I mean, I would say it's about 15 feet tall and easily at least 250 pounds if I had to move it. Very difficult to move and very expensive. So if somebody wanted to buy this 45-gallon, this tree is easily over 10 years old. I mean, easily minimum $3,000. So as you can see, it's not something that I sell every single day. It's not something popular. And you know, big plants like this, the only time people buy them are going to be people who do not know any better, and the salesperson does not actually educate the customer the way they need to be educated. Because I have smaller plants like this, and to be honest, there's no benefit in buying a big plant like this. This big plant like this big plant right here, it's not going to be stronger. It's not going to take more cold. It's not going to take any more sun than a smaller plant, like the 5-gallon bay rum I showed you earlier. So that one over there is $49.99. This one here is $3,000. But if somebody tells you, or you assume because bigger is better, you're going to buy the bigger one, and then you take it home, you don't water, and it dies just as fast as the little one. And that's what I have to tell people here at the nursery. And that's the reason why this tree is still sitting here. Is it good for business? No, it's not good for business. But I can tell you the main reason why I started this is because I got tired of getting ripped off. Because everybody tells you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. And that's why gardening is so difficult. Okay, so which container size is going to be best for your plant? I highly encourage you to watch my video where I talk about root-bound plants, so that way you can understand when you need to uppot your plants and why you uppot your plants. But just to give you a quick summary, you only uppot your plants when they need to be uppotted. How do you know that? Well, there are several ways. The first one is you're going to see roots coming down the bottom of your container, like this one right here. Second, your plants are going to dry very quickly. This one's drying out on me twice a day, and if I don't water it, it will die in a single day right now. And in a few weeks, once the temperatures in my area go higher, This will die in a matter of hours if it's in the sun and it goes dry. So that's one of the main reasons why you uppot your plants. So how big do you go when you uppot your plants? Well, for this one right here, just go into something that's a little bigger. This one has a taproot system, so you want something that's at least the same length as this one or longer. For me, in my area, this one right here goes into a 5-gallon container. You can see it gives it plenty of space to grow, and that way I don't have to worry about this plant for the next year to 2 years. Now let's say I wanted to uppot this plant to sell online. I want it to root a lot faster. I don't want to hold on to it too long. Then it will go into a bigger tree pot like this one. This is a 4x12 tree pot. And as you can see, the size difference right here, it will give it plenty of space so it doesn't dry out that quickly. But yet it will root out this container a lot faster than this one. So I can sell this one online a lot sooner than this one. I don't sell this size online simply because the shipping is just too expensive and it takes too long to package one of these plants right here. Easily 20 to 30 minutes. That takes too long. This one right here, it takes me easily less than 10 minutes. So that's why I stick to these sizes when shipping plants online. The other size that I sell online very frequently is a 4-inch container like this one right here. So when you order a Barbados cherry from me on the website, this is what it's going to look like once you actually have it in the mail. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is the size of the container. I have a video specifically talking about this, but I can tell you a bigger container will not make your plants grow faster. It's actually the opposite. You need to watch that video because I explain it in details. But just to give you a quick summary, most plants will not grow up until they are fully rooted in that container. The bigger the container you put it in, the longer it's going to take for that plant to root out that container before it can grow. That applies to most plants out there. But I can tell you, if you put it in too big of a container, like this 25 gallons right here, the bottom of your containers dries mainly through the root system of your plant. So if you get a little plant and you put it in this massive container right here, all this potting mix around it will stay wet permanently, because that little plant is going to take too long to root out this big container. And guess what's going to happen when winter comes? That's when you're going to start seeing overwatering issues from your plant being wet 24/7 all year long because you put it in too big of a container. And that's going to be the main mistake people make when uppotting plants. So now that you understand a little more about container sizes, let's talk about some of the main misconceptions about containers. And the first one is gallons. Why do they call it gallons if they don't hold gallons? Like this container right here, this is a 5-gallon tall. This right here is an actual 5-gallon container. This holds 5 gallons of water. Now, I don't really know where it originally started, but I can tell you I have an idea. When you buy containers, usually this one is a number 5. So I think that's mainly why people think they call it 5 gallons. I don't know, maybe why. Now, where to source containers? If you're looking for specialty containers like this, there's only one place you're gonna be able to find them here in the United States, and that is going to be Stewie and Sons. Link in the description. They are not a sponsor, but I get all my containers, tree pots like this, from them because they have the best prices out there, because I think they are the only ones that make it. And anything odd, anything weird, they usually sell it there. So if you're looking for something like this, link in the description. If you're looking for 4-inch containers like this, best places I found, the cheapest places I found, it's going to be Amazon, to be honest. The prices go up and down all the time. Stewie and Sons also sell these right here, but you have to buy in bulk in order to get a better price. But to be honest, the price for this 4-inch containers is not really that high. And unless you have a nursery and you're buying in the thousands, you know, if you're only buying 100, 200, just go to Amazon and buy it there. The savings are not going to be worth, you know, the troubles of finding the cheapest price. Now, if you're looking for 3-gallon containers, if you're looking for 5-gallon containers, Stewie and Sons also have them too, and they're going to have the best price out of most people out there. But sometimes you can find them cheap on Greenhouse Mega Store. They're not a sponsor, but I get a lot of my nursery supplies from them as well. But you have to buy in bulk in order to make it worth it, because the shipping is usually going to cost you a lot more than buying just a few containers. So whenever I buy 3 gallons or 5 gallons, I usually buy in bulk, you know, like a pallet full. Otherwise, it's just not worth it. I can tell you the cheapest place to buy the 3 or the 5 gallons and most of you containers locally, it's not going to be online. It's going to be from your local landscaper. So drive around your city, your neighborhood, especially new neighborhoods, and see those people that are planting trees outside. Well, ask them, hey, can I have the containers? A lot of them are going to say no because you know what they do? They sell them. So the reason I actually started buying the 3 and the 5 gallon containers in bulk cheap, it's not because I look for them, it's because landscapers called me. They call me and then they're like, hey, I got pots for sale. Are you interested? You know, I give them a price. We agree. I buy in bulk. So when I buy 3 or 5 gallon containers, I always buy, you know, at least 500 at a time, if not 1,000. Because landscapers don't want to make, you know, 50 bucks, 100 bucks. They want to make a few $100s to make it worth their time. And you're going to get the best price when you buy the most containers at once. Let me give you a few prices because I'm sure you guys are wondering how much do I pay for my containers, especially the ones that I buy here locally from my local landscapers. So if I'm buying a 3 gallon container like this one right here, or if I'm buying a 5 gallon container like this one right here, before the inflation started, I can tell you I was paying 10 cents each. 10 cents. And I was buying 1,000 at a time. Not anymore though. Recently, I just bought 1,000 5 gallon containers and I paid 40 cents each. It may sound like a lot of money, but to be honest, a 5 gallon container retail price, wholesale, online, you're gonna be paying close to $2 each. And that's buying a pallet at a time. So 40 cents versus, you know, almost $2 each. Yeah, I'll buy the used containers. Some people worry about diseases and, you know, all kinds of stuff that's gonna be in the used containers. Guys, I've been using these containers for years and not once have I ever encountered any issues with contaminated containers because they're used. Also, recently, I've been having a hard time buying 1 gallon containers. So I've been having to buy them online. So the 1 gallon containers retail price, wholesale, last time I purchased, I think 2,000 of them, I paid, I think, 60 to 70 cents each. And that's brand new containers, mailed to me, and you know, I didn't have to go look for them. But if you can buy them locally, I mean, the 1 gallons in my area, they sell between 25 cents to 60 cents. They actually sell higher than the 5 gallons because they're not a popular size, and supply and demand, you know. So that's everything you need to know about containers. So if you just want to buy a few containers, just go to Amazon, Stu & Sons Greenhouse Mega Store, and just buy your containers if you're only buying a few. If you're buying in bulk, my recommendation is still going to be Greenhouse Mega Store. Stu & Sons, another good choice. Or your local landscapers. If you live in a smaller city, well, obviously you're gonna have a harder time finding local landscapers selling containers. So that will be dependent in the area that you live in. But as always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it. Most of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. So if you like this type of content and you wanna see more in the future, don't forget to click that subscribe button. And as always, I will see you next time.